So today I'm in the woods to try and challenge myself to start a fire with just an axe and bootlace. I am not an expert at this at all, and so I've already tried once. So this is my previous attempt. I'm going to clean it off and kind of try and pick up where I left off. Yeah, I didn't get it done in time. I had to go in. So I'm going to try it again. Yeah, not an expert at fire starting, but I think I could get it to work. So I've got another shot at it. So I'm going to do that. So I'll go back to my previous clips and edit it together. And so you can see kind of the whole process. Just know that I did not do it all in one shot, assuming I get it to work at all. So the axe I brought out for this is this little ox head Canadian pattern, the ox head Iltis Canada. This one is supposed to be 1 3/4 pounds. It's a little overweight, so it's instead of 800 grams, it's more like 900 grams or about 2 pounds, just under maybe. The handle is 26 inches long or 66 centimeters, and it's ironwood or hop hornbeam, as you might know it. And I hung it recently, and so I'm excited to use it. So that's why it's out, but I also think it's going to be quite good for this as a little light, packable axe, but still, efficient and capable. I think. I mean, I have already started swinging it, so I'm fairly confident it's going to be good. It's Canadian patterns, very thin cheeks, especially the ox head version, and I think it's going to be quite handy. So we'll see. Behind me is a eastern white cedar snag up there that I'm going to fell, and I'm going to use that. And then on my way here, I also gathered some of the other materials that I need. So I cut myself a buckthorn that I made a greenwood maul out of. And I also got a piece of that that's hopefully going to be the bearing block. So that's hardwood, greenwood. And so that should be good for that. It's an invasive species, doesn't matter if I cut it. I'm narrating this part to give a quick explanation about what's going on and what I'm doing here. So I am making the maul or the club that I'm going to need, as well as the bearing block from this piece of buckthorn. And I end up awkwardly hitting it many times, trying to sever it straight across the grain, because my original plan was to have the divot and the end grain and have kind of a little cookie as my bearing block. But eventually, I realized that wasn't the best solution. The best solution was to use the side grain and a split branch as the bearing block. So that's what I ended up doing. But if you're wondering why I didn't just sever the branch at an angle with one shot instead of 5 shots straight across, that's why. And I've also gathered some grass for a tinder bundle and some birch bark as well. And I still need to make a spindle and a bow. I dropped another snag that I'm going to hopefully get some of those materials from. And this is what I'm going to use for my hearth board. You know, I'm not an expert at this at all, but I just want to see if I can do it. And if you're seeing this, I guess that means I hopefully succeeded. Actually, I felt more this way. Started to move the camera, realized I'm gonna have to open this up more because I don't have enough room to do a big back cut. All right. Okay, I think I'm going to want the top of this log to prop up the other end, so I'm going to cut it. I'm going to buck this log here. Let's get the other supplies. I'm in a dense, even age, young cedar thicket here, and it needs to be thinned, and I need fence posts. So I've actually been cutting some fence posts, but I think I'll process one for a fence post, but for the sake of this video, we'll pretend it's for a fire, just to show how long it would take to get a couple decent sized green logs for back logs or green wood for the fire to keep it going between feedings. All right, I don't know how long that took, but I'll get it off the camera, and I don't think it took too long. Now, these 2 posts are going to be fence posts, but if I was cutting logs for like a long log fire, back log fire or something, I'd probably butt these again. And then in that case, there'd be 6 logs. I mean, depending on whether you count this top one as a log. For your fire, it didn't take too long. Green wood is a lot easier to process with an axe than dry, typically. So yeah, if you were actually having to spend the night in the boreal forest, I've read that if you don't have a proper shelter, it takes about half a cord of wood. So there'd still be a lot more to cut, but half a cord of mostly green softwood, or at least mostly softwood, in 4-foot length, it's not unreasonable if you know your way around an axe, I don't think. Certainly, if your life depended on it, you could hopefully do it. All right, I'm gonna process this into firewood. I think it should only take me a few minutes, well, several minutes. The snow won't matter because since it's cold enough, it's dry. It'll just take off. You have to be careful dragging stuff with the axe. It's not, you know, I feel like I know enough what I'm doing, but it's not a great safe practice because if it's heavy and you pull out, the axe comes out, it'll come towards your foot. Maybe I'll split these in half right here, and then any other processing I'll do closer to where I'm starting the fire. This might be a good piece to get the spindle from. Yeah, I'll finish that later. I'll decide what exactly I want. All right, I'm just gonna gather this up. This little hot hornbeam sapling can go. It's bent over and crowded anyway, and it can be my bow. I hope. Oh. It's dead. All right. Even better. So I'm not actually going to take off one of my bootlaces to do this. I brought another lace out. You know, in a real, I guess, in extremist situation, you would want to do that. I wonder if this is... Yeah, that's okay. Well, I accidentally cut the lace. We're gonna make a spindle out of. It's pretty straight, but okay. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. Oops. Damn it. Ooh, cracked. I'm gonna have to start again. We'll see. Okay, so I'm gonna make some kindling. Of course, you know, I could probably find enough dry lumber. Sorry, dry kindling in the, you know, from picking dead branches off of standing trees. But I have all this wood here anyway, so might as well. Plus, this will be even drier. I think I picked an odd piece. I'm going to do a little bit of setting up of the fire lid before I get started. Just going to make a little bit of a roof because it's been snowing off and on. And so I want to be able to put some kindling underneath there to stay dry. Maybe I cut too much kindling, probably couldn't get much. All right, so this is where I'm officially starting for today. What I've already done is hewn this out to get rid of my previous attempts and start fresh. And the other thing that I've done is I piled a bunch of the firewood and just a bunch of branches and bark and stuff in front, because one of the things that I learned last time is that I drop the spindle sometimes, and if the hot end goes in the snow, it really sets you back. So it's important to keep it dry. So that's what I'm going to do. So the next step is to cut a slot for the chip and restart the divot. Fortunately, there's lots of chips to choose from. Find one that will fit the divot. Should save this for the tinder bundle. All right. Let's break it in. All right, I'm going to turn the camera off. You can see I'm getting started there, making some dust, making a divot. But just because it's cold enough, it's like about minus 12, that my camera battery won't last if I leave it on the tripod. All right, success. Took a lot longer than I thought. I think if I was going to get lost in the bearings, I'd want a little bit more practice before I was confident that I wouldn't freeze to death the first night. But Good start. It's a fire. Excuse all the sniffles. I'm cold again. Got a kid in daycare. So the fire's going. Before I head out, I think I'll explain why I took the approach that I did. Because I'm sure some of you might be wondering. I didn't explain it earlier because I didn't know that it would work. And so now that I know, I think I'll go into a little explanation about why I think it makes sense to do it this way, if what you have is an axe with you. And so the thing that I was most worried about is that if I took the normal little fireboard approach to starting a fire with a bow drill, then I'd be having to hold it down with my snowy boot, and I just thought that would just be a disaster. And so I wanted to do something that would raise off the snow and be stable enough that I didn't have to hold it with my boot. And so I thought just a whole log would do that. And of course, if you were having an emergency fire in the winter where you really needed to get it going, you'd also want it to be big. And so you might as well have a big log to burn as well. And of course, the log is a great source of kindling, and the spindle and everything is very dry if it's standing dead cedar especially. So this is eastern white cedar, Thuya occidentalis, in case I didn't already mention that. The other thing that I did is all this wood piled here. Of course, it would be good fuel, but the reason I did it is because the problem I ran into is that when I made a mistake, the spindle would fall into the snow, and the hot end would of course get wet immediately in the snow. And so I just put a whole bunch of sticks here and bark and things like that to catch it, and that worked most of the time. So yep, that was a pretty good idea, I think. And the hewing and everything, setting this up, it didn't actually take that long. So yeah, I think worthwhile once I got the kinks out of it. Of course, I'm interested in axes, and I'm interested in ways to accomplish things with an axe. And so this also lends itself to that, a way to start a friction fire if your main tool is an axe. So I think that worked out pretty well. All right, so here I am finally with my axe and Bootlace fire. It's burning down. It's been good to me. It's dried out my pants where I was kneeling in the snow. It's also thrown an ember and burnt a little hole in my jeans. But what can you do? Of course, if I was actually having to spend the night out here, I would have to make it a lot bigger fire than this. I would be burning this log and the log underneath of it, and I'd probably also cut more. There's a couple more snags right beside me, one there, and there, and then a little further afield there's more. So I'd be gathering a lot more wood, and of course I would be burning green wood. So I did cut some green wood. Now that's actually going to be a fence post in reality, but for the sake of the scenario, you would want to burn that or use it for a fire backing or something like that, just to help keep the fire lasting longer. So of course it won't burn very fast, but it might hold some fire for longer, so you weren't it wouldn't go out in between feeding it. If you stay this long, thanks for watching. If you're a Cordwood Challenge participant, I am thinking of suggesting this as a mini challenge. It definitely is a challenge, and it was fun for me, so it might be fun for some of you. I think I will do that, but let me know what you think in the comments if you have thoughts on that. Anyway, thanks, and catch you next time.